Have you ever forgiven someone toxic, but you still replay the argument in your head at 2 a.m.? Forgiving the people who hurt you might be the most dangerous thing you ever do. Not because forgiveness is wrong, but because most people have no idea what forgiveness actually is. They think it means letting go. They think it means saying I'm okay now. They think it means the pain just disappears. Carl Jung, the man who mapped the deepest parts of the human psyche, would look at that idea and call it exactly what it is: a lie you tell yourself to avoid the real work. And here's what nobody talks about. Premature forgiveness doesn't heal you. It buries you. Stay with me for the next 10 minutes, because what I'm about to show you doesn't just change how you think about toxic people. It changes how you think about yourself. From childhood, most of us were handed one instruction for emotional pain: forgive. Forgive the parent who wasn't there. Forgive the friend who betrayed you. Forgive the partner who broke something in you. We were told forgiveness is strength, that holding on is weakness, that moving on is the goal. And so we forced it. We performed it. We said the words, "I forgive you." And then we wondered why, even after saying those words, we still flinched when the phone rang and it was them. Why we still felt sick to our stomach when their name came up. Why we still replayed the moment, years later, in the shower at 11 p.m. Jung called this psychological bypassing, and he spent a lifetime warning us about it. The idea is simple and devastating. When you skip the real psychological work of processing pain, you don't release it. You compress it. You push it into what Jung called the shadow, the dark basement of your unconscious mind, where everything you refuse to look at gets stored. And here's the problem with the shadow. What you lock in the basement doesn't die. It lives down there. It grows, and it finds ways out through your anger, your anxiety, your relationships, your self-sabotage. The toxic person you forgave, they're still running your life. You just can't see it anymore. Jung said something most people find deeply uncomfortable when they first hear it. He said, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate." Read that again. You will call it fate. You'll wonder why you keep attracting the same kind of person. You'll wonder why every new relationship starts the same way and ends the same way. You'll wonder why your anger explodes over things that shouldn't matter that much. And you'll chalk it up to bad luck, or other people's dysfunction, or just the way things are. But Jung's diagnosis is harder to hear. The unprocessed wound is making the decisions, not you. The wound. Jung identified something he called projection, one of the shadow's most powerful tricks. When we refuse to integrate our own pain, we start seeing our wounds in other people. The person who was made to feel powerless as a child becomes obsessed with control as an adult. The person who was never allowed to be angry attracts rage-filled partners, and then wonders how they keep ending up in the same situation. The toxic person in your life isn't just a villain in your story. According to Jung, and this is the part that changes everything, they are a mirror. Not because what they did was acceptable. Not because you deserved it. Not because you need to keep them in your life. But because the intensity of your wound, the specific way they got to you, points directly at something in your shadow that has been waiting, sometimes for decades, to be seen. This is the work that forgiveness tries to skip. And skipping it is exactly why so many people forgive someone and then spend the next 5 years still controlled by what that person did to them. Let's be precise about something. Why do certain people get under your skin in a way that others don't? You've had bad interactions with strangers. You've dealt with rude people, difficult people, selfish people. But this particular person, they don't just irritate you. They destabilize you. They live in your head rent-free. even when you haven't seen them in months, even when they have no formal presence in your life anymore. Jung's answer is one of the most psychologically precise ideas ever put to paper. They activated your wound at the deepest possible frequency. The specific thing they did, the betrayal, the abandonment, the humiliation, the control, matched, almost perfectly, the shape of an old injury you never fully processed. Maybe it was a parent who made you feel like you were never enough. Maybe it was someone who made you feel invisible. Maybe it was someone who made you feel like your emotions were a burden. The toxic person didn't create the wound, they found it. And that is why they have so much power. Because you're not just reacting to them. You're reacting to every version of that wound. Every time it was opened before, every time you had to smile through it, or survive it, or pretend it didn't happen. This is why forgiveness without shadow work fails. You're trying to release someone from a debt that was never just theirs to begin with. So what is the answer? Is Jung saying don't forgive? No. He's saying something far more difficult and far more liberating. He's saying, do the work first. Jung called this process individuation, the lifelong task of integrating all the parts of yourself, including the parts you've hidden, rejected, or buried in the shadow. And the first step is radical, unflinching honesty. Not about the other person, about yourself. Ask, what does the wound this person activated tell me about what I've been carrying? Ask, what is my shadow, the part of me I refuse to look at, being shown through this interaction? Ask, what old story am I still living inside of? This is not victim blaming. Let me be completely clear about that. What someone did to you was real. The harm was real. The betrayal was real. Jung is not asking you to excuse it. He is asking you to reclaim your power from it. Because here's the truth about power. As long as that person lives in your shadow, unexamined, unprocessed, attached to a wound you haven't looked at, they control you. The moment you bring the wound into the light, the moment you see it clearly, understand it, name it, the control is broken. Not because you've forgiven in the way you were taught, but because you've taken the wound back. You've made it yours again. And something you own cannot be weaponized against you. Jung described true psychological integration as arriving at a place where the person who hurt you no longer occupies space in your nervous system. Not because you've decided to be a bigger person. Not because you've suppressed the memory. But because you've processed it so fully that it no longer needs to be resolved. The account is closed, not because you forced it shut, but because you worked it through. This is what real forgiveness looks like. It doesn't feel like generosity. It feels like freedom. There are 3 things Jung's framework points us toward, and none of them involve a conversation with the person who hurt you. First, witness the wound without running from it. Stop trying to get over it. Sit with it. Ask what it's trying to show you. Where does it come from? What does it remind you of? What old belief does it confirm that you've been trying to disprove your whole life? Second, separate the person from the pattern. The toxic person is not the origin of your suffering. They are the most recent chapter in a much older story. When you understand the story, you stop needing that person to give you anything, not an apology, not an explanation, not a reckoning. Because the reckoning becomes internal. Third, reintegrate what you disowned. The shadow isn't just where pain lives. It's where power lives too. Everything you were told to hide, your anger, your needs, your grief, your voice, that's in there. And healing isn't just about processing what was done to you. It's about reclaiming who you've suppressed in the process of surviving it. Here's what that looks like in real life. You stop obsessively replaying the conversation, not because you forced yourself to, but because it no longer contains a question you need answered. You stop monitoring what they're doing. because your sense of self no longer depends on being validated by the outcome. You stop flinching at their name, because the wound that made their actions feel catastrophic no longer has the same charge. That's not weakness. That's not naive. That is what it looks like to become whole. Jung spent his entire life arguing that the human psyche is not a problem to be solved. It's a landscape to be explored. And the most dangerous corners of that landscape aren't the ones where toxic people live. They're the ones you've been refusing to walk into. The ones where the old wounds sit in the dark, waiting not to destroy you, but to finally be seen. Forgiving someone before you've done that work isn't healing. It's just turning off the alarm. The fire is still burning. But here's the thing about fire, and about Jung, and about everything we've talked about today. Fire doesn't only destroy, it also illuminates. Walk toward it. If this opened something for you, there's a lot more where this came from. Subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.